My name is Corinne Harlow, I'm 34, and in my family I've always been the daughter who was easiest to forget. While my older siblings grew into the roles my mother worshipped, confident, charming, unshakable, I became the one she dismissed, the one she blamed, the one she swore was too sensitive for this world. Maybe that's why I learned early to stay quiet, to shrink myself, to survive their storms by becoming invisible. But invisibility has its price, and mine came due the night my mother left me at a freezing bus stop on the edge of Gary, Indiana. Without my phone, without my wallet, without a single explanation. I thought abandonment was the worst thing she could do to me. I didn't know then that what waited in the darkness was far, far worse. And it all started with a blind old man whispering, "Pretend you're my grandchild." The wind bit straight through the holes in my sleeves. My fingers were turning white, stiff, useless. I tucked them under my arms and tried to keep moving. Sitting made it worse. Midnight had passed. No cars. No buses. No sign of her. She'd said she was going to grab gas at the station across the street. That was 40 minutes ago. There was no station across the street. Just concrete and a broken billboard for a personal injury lawyer, smiling like a ghost. My breath came out shaky. Okay, you're not 12. You can figure this out. But my voice disappeared into the cold. The kind that didn't just chill you, it punished you. I started walking. Street to street. Nothing but snow and yellow streetlight. No cars. Just a shape slumped near a trash can fire, far down the block. I slowed. A man. Elderly. Heavy coat. Cane by his leg. He didn't move. I stepped closer, cautious. His head turned. Then he spoke. "She left you, didn't she?" His voice was brittle, flat, like wind on glass. I froze. "What?" "She left you out here, like a dog." I looked around. No one else. No cameras. No witnesses. He tapped the cane once. Then again. Then stopped. "You got 60 seconds, he said. "Pretend you're my grandchild. Someone's coming." "What?" "Smile. Link your arm with mine. Then walk. Don't ask questions you don't want answers to." And that's when I heard it. A slow rolling engine. Headlights off. A silver SUV. Creeping. Watching. The window slid down just enough for a glint of metal to show. Not a camera. A muzzle. My chest went still. The old man stood. Smoother than he should have. No stumble. No blind reach. He put a hand on my back and whispered, "You were never meant to make it through tonight." He smiled, turned, raised his voice like a stage actor. "There's my sweet girl. God, your mom would have hated this weather. Come, come." I let him take my arm. The SUV rolled past us, slower than a funeral, a face in the back seat, eyes locked on me. Someone I knew. My half-brother, Darius. No blink. No wave. The SUV turned the corner and vanished. My knees nearly buckled. He didn't even pretend to be surprised. "Who are you?" I choked out. He didn't answer. Just started walking, tugging me with him. "Where are we going?" Still no answer. I looked back one last time. No car. No mother. No home. Only his voice again, low this time. "Your name is not safe anymore." I stopped dead. He paused, then turned to face me. The glasses slid down his nose. His eyes were sharp, clear. He wasn't blind, and he knew my name before I ever spoke it. The apartment smelled like old wires and dust-covered secrets. Peeling paint. No curtains. Just blinds that didn't close all the way. We were on the 3rd floor of a brick building that leaned slightly left, like it had stopped caring. Every window across the street was dark except for one. A pale blue glow flickered behind it, as if someone had been watching and quickly shut off the feed. He didn't say a word until the door locked behind us. "Sit." I didn't. I stood there, arms crossed, heart pounding like it knew something I didn't. He took off his coat. slower than before, more deliberate. Each motion looked rehearsed. "You're not blind," I said. Not a question. He didn't answer, just tossed his coat onto the one chair in the room, then disappeared into a side hallway. I stayed near the door. A minute later, he returned with a folder, thick, manila, and worn like it had been carried through wars. He dropped it on the table between us. "I don't want to play games," I said. "Then stop thinking this is one." Silence. He flipped the folder open. The first page made my breath stop. It was a form, government issued. My name on it, my address, my social security number, my digital signature, except I'd never seen it before. "Congratulations," he said. "You're the CEO of a real estate holding company. Been operating for 4 years. Millions in assets. Multiple pending lawsuits." My head spun. "That's not possible. That's not. You've got 8 properties in Chicago, 1 in Albuquerque, and 3 plots of land in Indiana, all tied to a federal redevelopment grant." I took a step back. The room felt colder. "Someone used me." "No," he said. "Someone is using you." He moved to the wall, pulled down a cracked poster. Behind it, a mess of wires and screens. Monitors flickered on. Faces. Footage. Documents scrolling. "Who the hell are you?" I asked. "Gideon," he said simply. "Used to work cybercrime for the IRS. Until I pissed off someone bigger than my badge." A beat. "Why me?" I asked. "Because you're invisible," he said. "And invisibility is valuable." Cut scene. I sat on the edge of the worn-out couch, the folder now on my lap. Each page was worse than the last. Loans taken in my name, life insurance policies, court documents, even a psychiatric evaluation. "She's emotionally unstable, paranoid, at risk of self-harm." "It's all fake," I whispered. "Not to a court, it isn't," Gideon replied. He lit a cigarette. Didn't smoke it. Just let it burn. "That's the trick," he said. "If they control your paper trail, they control your future." Another cut. He handed me a remote. "Press play." The screen flicked to a local news report. A female anchor, sharp suit, dead eyes. "And in breaking news, federal investigators are pursuing allegations of fraud and embezzlement involving a private corporation operating across 3 states. The owner of the shell company, Corinne Harlow, is believed to have fled after financial discrepancies were discovered." My face filled the screen. Not a mugshot. Worse. A photo I hadn't known was taken. Me last year, crying outside a courthouse. Twisted to look guilty. I dropped the remote. "They're setting you up to fall," Gideon said. And not softly. I stood. Panic was clawing its way up my spine. My mom. She left me because she knew this was coming. "She didn't just leave you," he said, voice low. "She cleared the stage for the next act." I looked around. The apartment felt less like a refuge, more like a holding cell. "What do I do?" Gideon leaned in. "You start pretending to be the person they think you are." That night, I barely slept. I kept the lights off, sat in the dark, watching my name crawl across news tickers like a virus. "People don't vanish because they're guilty," Gideon had said before turning in. "They vanish because someone needs them gone." Morning light crept through the crooked blinds. I reached for the folder again, but something caught my eye first. A black SUV, parked across the street. It hadn't been there last night. Someone was in the driver's seat, hands on the wheel, not moving. I backed away from the window. They're not looking for the truth. They're looking for me. I didn't leave the window for over an hour. The SUV never moved. Neither did the driver. At one point, he lit a cigarette, one-handed, military style. Whoever he was, he wasn't lost. He was watching. By sunrise, the street swallowed the headlights. Gone. But I knew what it meant. They didn't just want me erased. They wanted me observed. Gideon sat at the table, eating oatmeal like we weren't in a thriller. Surveillance comes before surgery, he muttered. What? They'll watch. Wait. Make you believe you're still in control. Then they cut. I grabbed the folder again, flipped past the documents, past the mortgage records I'd never signed, until I landed on a name that hadn't registered before. Marisol Vance. She's listed as my company's chief operations officer. Good, Gideon said. She's your first lead. You know her. He hesitated. She was a forensic accountant, he said finally. Then she disappeared. 5 years ago. Cut scene. We found her in a church basement in South Side Chicago, teaching Spanish to kids whose parents were doing time. She looked younger than her file photo. Dark hair, tight bun, eyes that had seen too much. I don't talk to strangers, she said, not even glancing up. I dropped the folder on the table. She didn't flinch. Why is my name on a corporation I've never touched? I asked. Why is yours? That made her look. Long hard. Then with perfect calm she said, because Darius owns the judge. My throat tightened. Darius Harlow. Marisol nodded once. And the clerk. And 2 board members on the land commission. Gideon crossed his arms. Why not just do it himself? Marisol leaned back. Because laundering power requires paper. Clean paper. People no one would ever suspect. Forgotten daughters. Expired IDs. Discarded lives. She looked at me. You're not the victim, Corinne. You're the mask. Twist cuts in. I felt cold again, like the bus stop had never ended. Why did you vanish? Gideon asked. Marisol's gaze shifted to the far wall. They used my credentials to forge $30 million in false capital. I reported it. Next day, my apartment caught fire. Gas leak, they said. A pause. My brother was inside. He died. I didn't breathe. They sent me a message, she said. Don't speak. Don't surface. Or we finish the job. Cut. We were back in the car. Gideon driving like every intersection was a battlefield. Marisol sat up front. I was in the back, watching the world blur. You okay? She asked. No, I said. But that's not new. She cracked the window. Let the wind bite in. People think survival is loud. Screaming. Clawing. But it's not. It's silence. It's staying still when everything in you wants to run. We pulled up to an empty lot near the lakeshore. Nothing but gravel and wind. This is where your signature paid for a 6-story condo development, Marisol said. I stepped out. The ground was frozen. Then I saw it. A single laminated sign. Future site of Marquette Holdings. Luxury living, urban heart. Marquette. My mother's maiden name. Twist. I spun. She's in on it. Marisol's jaw tightened. Gideon didn't respond. Just stared at the sign like it owed him something. That's the missing link, I said. That's why she dropped me off like trash. She needed me gone for this. No, Marisol said quietly. She didn't just want you gone. She needed you dead on paper. We got back in the car. I stared at my hands. My mother's hands. The ones I used to hate for looking like hers. Now they belonged to someone with a ghost's life. Gideon's phone buzzed. A ping. He glanced down. You're going to want to see this, he muttered. He turned the screen toward me. An email encrypted. The subject line, your inheritance is active. Welcome to the trust. Attached a photo of my mother. Not old. Not tired. Not broken. She stood in front of a private jet hangar, holding a champagne glass. Next to her, smiling like a shark, was Celine Marquette, her sister, my aunt. They were laughing. Taken 2 weeks ago. Time-stamped. Metadata intact. She didn't just leave me. She celebrated it. The photo of my mother burned in my mind long after the screen went dark. Her smile. The champagne. The jet. She hadn't escaped. She'd evolved. Gideon drove in silence. Marisol kept her eyes on the rear camera feed. "We're being followed," she finally said. My pulse spiked. "SUV." "No," she pointed. "Black sedan. No plates." Cut scene. The sedan kept a perfect distance. No closer. No farther. A predator's patience. Gideon took a sudden left. So did the sedan. Then a right. So did the sedan. A whisper of dread slid down my spine. "People always show their intentions with repetition," Gideon said. "It's the oldest tell." The sedan suddenly braked, made a U-turn, and vanished between two warehouses. Gone. As if the street swallowed it. We pulled into a downtown parking garage. 5th floor. Empty except for a flickering bulb overhead. Marisol checked her watch. The address on Corinne's shell filings tracks to a mid-sized law firm. Filings were logged from an internal server. We need to move before they wipe anything. Gideon nodded. In and out. No improvisation. I swallowed. What if they're there? They won't be, Marisol said. Criminals love remote work. She tried to smile. It failed. Cut scene. The law office sat on the 8th floor of a glass building. Sign removed. Suite half renovated. An office that had been abandoned mid-breath. Gideon picked the lock in under 10 seconds. Lights off. Carpet dusted in a thin layer of drywall. But the conference room ahead glowed faintly. A printer hummed. My stomach dropped. Someone had been here minutes ago. Gideon motioned for silence. We moved slowly. The printer spat out one last page. Marisol snatched it. Her eyes widened. It's a deed transfer, she whispered. A new property under Corinne's name. Scheduled to finalize tomorrow. Funds wired from an escrow you supposedly authorized. That's impossible. Nothing is impossible if someone has your signature, she said. My hands shook. That signature is biometric. It needs my physical verification. Gideon's jaw tightened. Not if someone lifted your fingerprint from a clinic's intake pad. Those pads store encrypted templates. Easy to breach if the clinic's network is weak. I felt sick. They stole my identity from a medical form. Marisol looked me dead in the eyes. People don't steal what they don't plan to use. Movement. A shadow crossed the frosted glass pane. Not ours. Gideon whispered, back room. Now. We dropped behind a row of cubicles. Footsteps approached. Soft. Controlled. Not law enforcement. Hired. The steps moved toward the conference room, paused near the printer, then shifted direction. Closer. My heartbeat rattled my ribs. A gloved hand landed on the cubicle wall above me. Marisol mouthed, "Don't breathe." The figure leaned in. Slow. Listening. I shut my eyes. Nothing but the hum of the printer and my own pulse. Then, a buzz. A vibration. A phone. His. He answered. Yeah. I'm checking. No sign of her. She's probably still with the old man. My blood iced. Gideon. They knew him. He stepped back. Turned. Left the office as quietly as he'd entered. A distant stairwell door slammed. Silence returned like a threat. Cut scene. Gideon locked the front door again. We need everything they touched before they come back, he said. Marisol gathered hard drives. Stacks of documents. A portable modem. I stepped toward the printer, grabbed the rest of the warm pages, but something fluttered out from the tray. A scrap of paper. Handwritten. She's alive. Move before midnight. Marisol frowned. Who wrote that? It wasn't meant for us, Gideon said. He shoved the note in his pocket. There's more going on here than identity theft, he muttered. This is orchestration. A lattice. One move triggers 10. I leaned on the table. Tell me the truth. How bad is it? He didn't hesitate. If they finish tomorrow's transaction, you become the legal signatory for a federal fraud case. Millions laundered. If it collapses, you take the fall. Then why leave the office like this? I asked. Why not wipe the servers? Because they think they already won, Marisol said. Pride makes criminals sloppy. We headed for the exit. Halfway down the hallway, the fire alarm blared. Red lights flashed. Smoke began seeping from a vent. Gideon cursed. They triggered a suppression burn. They want to destroy evidence. We ran. Down the stairs. 3 flights. 4. The building trembled with the force of pressurized gas igniting overhead. A burst of heat followed us. We hit the street, coughing. Behind us, the office windows glowed orange. They're torching everything, Marisol said. They know we were in there. I stared up at the flames. My throat burned. My eyes watered. This isn't just a setup, I whispered. This is a purge. Gideon placed a hand on my shoulder. Then we move faster, he said, because you're running out of time. His phone buzzed again. Another encrypted message. He read it. His face drained of all color. He showed it to me without speaking. A photo. My mother. Standing beside Celine. Today's date on a whiteboard behind them. Location tagged. Dubai International Airport. A caption typed beneath. Drop the girl. Return to the plan. My chest tightened until it hurt. She didn't just leave me. She didn't just betray me. She was still giving orders. The world blurred outside the SUV window, downtown lights streaking like someone had dragged a wet brush across glass. My mind raced faster than the city beneath us. My mother. Alive. Traveling with Celine. Sending orders. And the message. Drop the girl. I wasn't the girl anymore. But they still wanted me dropped. Gideon took a hard right onto Ocean Boulevard, his knuckles white on the wheel. Marisol's fingers flew across her tablet, code reflecting off her glasses like shards of blue fire. We have one shot, she said quietly. The gala is the only place all key players gather, including the woman listed as your legal signatory for tomorrow's laundering transfer. And Celine? I asked. Marisol hesitated. There's a 60% chance she'll appear. She likes power on display. A shaky breath escaped me. And my mother? Gideon didn't answer. That silence said everything. Cut scene. We arrived at the venue, the Marlowe Conservatory, its glass dome glittering under spotlights. Press swarmed the red carpet. Guests in couture filed toward the doors. A perfect place for a public execution. Reputational or literal, it didn't matter. Both could kill. Remember, Gideon said, stepping close. Everyone smiles in the spotlight, but smiles are camouflage. It felt like something my father used to say, back when he tried to teach me that kindness without boundaries was a self-inflicted wound. Inside, the place smelled of orchids, champagne, and something colder, intent. I scanned the room. Dialogue drifted past like fog. She's supposed to be unstable. I heard she forged her mother's trust. No, the trust forged her. My name, my new scandal already spreading. Funny how truth didn't need facts. Only witnesses. The lights dimmed. A single figure stepped onto the stage. Nolan Price. My brother-in-law. Family golden boy. And now the gala's keynote speaker. I froze. Why is he here? I whispered. Gideon's jaw clamped. He's not just here. He's involved. Nolan adjusted the microphone, smiling like the room belonged to him. Tonight, he said, we celebrate legacy, vision, the courage to shape the future. I nearly laughed. Courage wasn't his word. The man cheated on my sister for years and still managed to spin himself into a victim. Marisol leaned in. Check your phone. I looked. A text. Unknown number. He isn't working alone. Another message. Don't let him see you panic. Gideon took my wrist. Don't look around. Someone is watching for your reaction. How do you know? Because they always do. Cut scene. After the applause, Nolan stepped off stage and went straight to a woman near the back. Elegant. Sharp. Wearing a black gown that shimmered like oil. Celine Mercer. My throat tightened. She looked different than on the security footage, colder, somehow, like she'd traded oxygen for ambition. Her eyes flicked across the room. 1 heartbeat. 2. Then landed on me. A tiny smile touched her lips. Recognition. Possession. I felt my knees weaken. Don't run, Gideon murmured. Running confirms fear. She lifted her champagne flute, the motion precise, deliberate, a toast. To me. What does that mean? I asked. Marisol answered. It means she's giving you 3 minutes to choose. Choose what? Gideon didn't blink. Fight or surrender. I moved toward the balcony. Needed air. Needed distance. The conservatory doors slid shut behind me. Outside, the wind off the ocean hit sharp and metallic. I gripped the railing. My breath fogged the glass. Then a voice behind me. You shouldn't be out here alone, Lily. I spun. Nolan. His tux crisp. His expression surgically soft. What do you want? I asked. He chuckled. You're asking the wrong question. He stepped closer. Too close. You should ask what your mother wants. My stomach dropped. I know she's alive. I know you know. He smirked. She asked me to keep an eye on you. Clean up any rogue behavior. Rogue behavior? You mean surviving? He shrugged. Survival is admirable, but inconvenient. Rage simmered. You helped them steal my inheritance, my identity, my life. It wasn't personal, he said. You were simply the easiest one to cut loose. My hands shook. You forged my signature. No, he said calmly. Your mother did. Pain sliced through me like thin wire. Nolan leaned in. She said you'd break eventually. Honestly, you lasted longer than I expected. Wind slammed the balcony doors open. Music spilled out. Guests laughed. He straightened his cuffs. You're walking into tomorrow's transfer whether you like it or not. She wants closure, and closure requires sacrifice. My voice quivered. What do you mean by sacrifice? He smiled. You'll understand soon. Cut scene. He walked away, left me shaking. Gideon appeared seconds later. You look pale. What happened? Nolan, I whispered. He said my mother forged the documents. All of them. Marisol cursed softly. If that's true, then everything you're charged with tomorrow traces back to her. And to me, I choked, because she used my medical biometrics. Gideon's voice hardened. We end this tonight. He handed me a small device, a flash drive. This isn't evidence, he said. It's leverage. Every offshore filing tied to your mother's alias. Enough to flip half the people in this room. Fear turned to something sharper. So what's the plan? You confront Celine, Marisol said. Not in public. She thrives in public. But privately, where she thinks she controls the narrative. And then, Gideon said, you give her a choice. What choice? He met my eyes. Walk away from the transfer, or you burn her empire down. The room blurred again, this time not from motion, but from clarity. For the first time in my life, I wasn't the youngest, the weakest, the expendable one. I was the one holding the match. The balcony doors closed behind us with a soft click. Only one thought cut through the noise, sharp and cold as the ocean wind. Tonight, someone in this room would lose everything, and it would not be me. The warehouse on Dock 9 smelled of rust and rotting seaweed. Above us, rain hammered the steel roof like a warning. The kind of night when deals get made or undone. Celine arrived in black. No umbrella, no smile, just a clutch of silence and power like a blade against her thigh. I expected you to run, she said. I did, I replied. Straight toward you. Gideon stood beside me, arms folded. Marisol was on standby in the surveillance van outside, already feeding the DOJ everything they needed, provided I gave the signal. Celine stepped closer. This ends tonight, Lily. It does, I said, but not how you think. She tilted her head. You brought backup? No, I said, I brought truth. I tossed the flash drive onto the table between us. It slid to a stop like a trigger waiting to be pulled. Every wire transfer, every offshore account, every falsified document connected to you. Not me. She didn't blink. You forget who taught you how to hide things. I didn't forget, I said. I learned better. Celine sighed like she was disappointed in a dress rehearsal. You're bluffing. Gideon stepped forward. Check your phone. She did. One beep. Her breath caught. The blood drained from her face. Copies sent to the Attorney General, Gideon said. FBI has been watching you since the gala. Why? She whispered. Because monsters only get one act, I said. And you overplayed yours. Cut scene. Sirens sliced through the air. Red-blue reflections fractured across the wet concrete. Shadows moved fast. Celine spun toward me. This was never about you. No, I said. It was always about what I represented. The one part of you that refused to rot. You're not my daughter. Exactly. And that's what saved me. 2 agents stepped in. One read Miranda rights. The other cuffed her. As they led her away, she hissed, They'll come for you next. I leaned in, my voice low. Then let them. I've already survived the worst. Back at the station, the lights felt too bright, too clean. Detective Yara dropped a folder in front of me. You did the right thing, kid. But this is deep water. I opened it. Inside, birth certificates, property records, old medical forms. One detail burned through everything. My original birth name, Charlotte Ellison. Not Lily. Not theirs. I was adopted under false identity. I asked. She nodded. You were trafficked into that family as part of a larger scheme. You weren't just the scapegoat. You were the insurance policy. Gideon clenched his fists. They built an entire legacy off your silence, Yara said. But silence has a price, and you finally stopped paying it. I couldn't breathe. Every lie, every insult, every frozen bus stop, all of it planned. Cut scene. Weeks later, I stood outside a courtroom. Press buzzed like bees around blood. Cameras clicked. Reporters yelled my name. Is it true you were never legally her daughter? Do you plan to sue for restitution? Will you testify against your entire family? I walked past them, spine straight. Sometimes the most defiant act is simply showing up. Inside, the judge read the charges aloud. Money laundering, identity fraud, attempted homicide, witness tampering. One by one, they pled not guilty. One by one, their masks cracked. My mother looked at me once. Just once. Her eyes weren't cold this time. They were empty. Later that night, I walked the beach alone. Shoes in hand. Wind cutting through my coat. Gideon called from a distance. You okay? I didn't answer at first. I used to think family was unbreakable, I said. That blood meant loyalty. But sometimes blood is just ink in the wrong contract. He stepped beside me. So what now? I smiled, small and real. Now I build something of my own. No more shadows. Marisol joined us, holding coffee. You know, truth is louder than fear. Most people just forget to turn up the volume. I took the cup, looked out at the waves. They kept crashing, relentless and free. A month passed. The court ruled in my favor. I was legally emancipated from the Ellisons. My identity restored. My name my own. I opened a small nonprofit. For survivors like me. Kids lost in the system. Kids who'd been silenced too long. Sometimes healing doesn't come with applause. It comes with quiet mornings and hard choices. It comes with remembering that love isn't ownership, and family isn't a cage. I stood at the bus stop again. Same one. Same cold. But I wasn't waiting this time. I was watching. A little girl sat alone, shivering. I sat beside her. "You okay?" I asked gently. She nodded too fast. I looked out at the street. Same cracks in the sidewalk. Same flickering lamp. And I said, "Pretend you're my granddaughter. Just for now. Until it's safe." Her hand slipped into mine. Some wounds don't vanish. But sometimes we learn to bandage others before they bleed too. And that's how we heal.